Hello, my name is Ryan Mack. I will be doing my video presentation on exam 2, problem 2. So starting out, it's asking, we consider a randomly selected student at a university and consider the events that they major in biology and that they major in psychology. Suppose that the probability that the student is a psychology major is 0.045. The probability that the student is a biology major is 0.0416. And finally, the probability that the student is a biology major or the student is a psychology major is 0.0792. So first it's asking us again to draw a Venn diagram that represents the information given above. So we can start out drawing the Venn diagram like so. Just draw this like so. And then we could draw two circles basically representing both variables, and then also leaving some space in the middle that represents both of the intersections, which represents, both, right? So first we know it's asking letter B is asking find the probability that the student is a biology major or the student is a psychology major. And it says it right here at the end. It says, finally, the probability that the student is a biology major or the student is a psychology major is 0.0792, right? So we know that right here, 0.0792 for B. You can say probability biology or psychology. You get to 0.0792, right? So they already gave us this one, right? And then also for C, we can just write out the equations. For C, it's asking find the probability that the student is not a biology major but is a psychology major. So they can only be a psychology major, right? They are not a biology major, right? But they are a psychology, meaning if they aren't either, that can't count because they have to be a psychology major. So you can write that as saying probability of not biology but psychology. So not B but P. And then we could have it here, we can label our variables again, A representing biology and then B representing psychology, right? So both of those right there. And then we know right off this equation, that's the same thing as saying pretty much probability of psychology minus probability of biology intersection psychology. And what this pretty much represents is also saying 0.045 because that's the probability that's psychology minus 0.0074, right? And that pretty much gives us 0.0376. So we know right here the probability for psychology is 0.0376, right, for psychology. And then given this information, we know D, just going to problem D, find the probability that the student is a biology major or is not a psychology major. So that's pretty much asking probability is B, so is biology or not P, meaning even if they are neither, that still counts because they're not psychology, so that still counts. So is B but not P, right? So that's equal to saying 1 minus probability of psi, right? Which is also, that's the failure, which is 0.0928. So we need to find out the failure, which pretty much represents 1, that's the total, right? The probability minus 0.0792, right? Which represents biology or psychology, 0.0792, and that gives us 0.9208. Okay, so with that, we know that's literally the failure, so that's neither, right? And we're also already given, we can fill in here, that we need to know 1 minus the 0.9208. And D is pretty much 0.09624. And we calculate that by, again, doing 1 minus 0.0376, which is 1 minus 0.0376. And that gives us 0.9624. So D is equal to 0.9624, and we can also put both as 0.0074, and then right here for the probability of biology it's 0.0342. Right, so we literally just answered all the problems, and with that, that is my presentation. So we know by also calculating and adding up all of these numbers, and it should equal 1, right? Because if we minus 1 minus 0.9208, that gives us this total number. And then if we add these numbers up plus this number, that should equal 1, right? So when we go 0.0342 plus 0.0074 plus 0.0376 plus 0.9208 equals 1. And that's how we check our answer. So to sum it up, B is 0.0792, C is 0.0376, and then D is 0.9624. So that is also my Venn diagram as well.